When you are given a quadratic equation and you're asked to solve it for x, or to find the roots, or maybe to find the zeros, you're being asked the same thing. And this is how we do this, especially if the equation is something you can factor easily. First of all, you make sure that the equation is set to 0. So you've got an equal sign and a 0 on one side and your quadratic on the other. Then you factor this thing. So let's see how we can do this. We've got a negative sign here. So one of these has to be positive and one of these has to be negative. And they've got to multiply out to 7 and add up to a positive 6. So I guess that's got to be a positive 7 and a negative 1. Yeah, I think that works. So we've factored this successfully, but this whole thing was equal to 0. Now, the idea here is that two things multiplied by each other equal 0. That means one of them's got to be 0. So either x plus 7 has to equal 0, or x minus 1 has to equal 0, or maybe both. So we set the two factors equal to 0. Then we solve them each for x. So this equation, x plus 7 equals 0, I could solve that for x by subtracting 7 from both sides, and I'd get x equals negative 7. This one, x minus 1 equals 0, I could solve that for x by adding 1 to both sides, and I'd get x equals 1. So the steps there, make sure your quadratic is set to 0, factor it, set each factor equal to 0, and then solve each of those factors for x, and that's what you get. In this case, it says if there's more than one solution, separate them with commas. So I would probably turn in my solution like this, x equals negative 7, comma 1. So that is how to find the roots of a quadratic equation or to solve a quadratic equation for x.